In the dark sky, thunder rumbled intermittently. The heir apparent's residence seemed to be submerged in hell. Inside, on a cold bed, a young woman was coughing up blood. Her emaciated body was like a withered flower in the middle of winter. Her name was Zhao Yuanqing, the first daughter of the Zhao family. She was the respected wife of the heir apparent of Marquis Qingyan, but her fate now was more miserable than that of a disgraced maid. The sound of the door opening was heard. The person who entered the room was Zhao Sulan, her half-sister, who was now the imperial noble consort. She wore a fake smile and spoke with venomous words. "Older sister, you're not dead yet? With such a serious illness, you probably don't have much longer to live, do you?" The female lead's eyebrows suddenly furrowed, and she quickly hid the blood-stained handkerchief. What a distinguished guest. I wonder what brings the imperial noble consort here. Zhao Sulan lifted the female lead's chin and said in a mocking tone, "The one who should have entered the palace to become a consort was you, the famously graceful first daughter, destined to enjoy glory and wealth. TSK, it's just a pity that you fell into the water. Your reputation was ruined, and you ended up having to marry that playboy, Su Suqing. As for me, the insignificant daughter of a concubine, I took your place, entered the palace, and ascended to the rank of noble consort in a single step." The female lead, filled with disgust, slapped away her green tea sister's hand. In her mind, the female lead suddenly recalled the scene of her falling into the water and then being rescued by the heir apparent of Marquis Qingyuan. In this era, once a woman's reputation was lost, she could only marry the man involved. Because of this, the female lead could not enter the palace to become a consort. The female lead never expected that the husband she had to marry would be a playboy who spent his days seeking pleasure outside. Now, she was gravely ill, abandoned by her own husband, living a life worse than death in a dark room that no one cared about. The more she thought about it, the more indignant the female lead became, her hands clenched tightly, her body trembling. She spoke up to dismiss her guest. "If there is nothing else, I invite the noble consort to leave." But Sulan had not finished yet. She sneered and said, "Older sister, don't chase me away. I haven't gotten to the main point yet. I came especially to bring you a gift." After speaking, she waved her hand, signaling the guard behind her. A wooden box was brought forward by the guard, and inside was the bloody head of her maternal grandfather, the old general. Sulan took the old general's head and threw it on the ground before the female lead's stunned eyes. Seeing the tragic expression on the female lead's face, Sulan became even more smug. "Older sister is gravely ill and couldn't send the old general off on his final journey, so your younger sister brought his head here for you. Older sister, do you like it?" The female lead trembled, covering her mouth with her hand, her eyes filled with despair. Looking at her grandfather's head before her, she felt as if everything was collapsing. She choked back sobs. "Grandfather loved me. He was so gentle with me. How could this be?" Sulan laughed savagely. "Grandfather was your strongest shield and backer, so no one could bully you." There was not a trace of remorse on her face. She even complained, "It's all this old man's fault for being biased. On what ground were you the only one allowed to enter the palace?" At this point, she suddenly shouted, screaming with anger and unwillingness. "I begged him for so long, yet he dared to say my character was not virtuous and I was unworthy of entering the palace. That was just an excuse. Wasn't it just because I am the daughter of a concubine?" Thinking of her current outcome, she burst into triumphant laughter. "Ha ha ha. But in the end, it was this daughter of a concubine who managed to enter the palace. I just needed to whisper in the emperor's ear that the old general seemed to be planning a rebellion. And guess what happened next? The emperor praised me for my great righteousness in exterminating my own kin and immediately ordered him to be dealt with. He truly is my good husband, acting as soon as he's told, haha. Zhao Sulan, I must kill you now." Saying this, the female lead braced herself and lunged towards the scheming green tea sister. Zhao Sulan's face turned ferocious. She slapped the female lead across the face. "Kill me? Older sister, you are still so naive even now." Looking at the female lead's utterly wretched state, she laughed and revealed, "Older sister, did you think you fell into the water by accident that time? Oh no, it was your good friend Fuluala. She was afraid of having another rival after entering the palace, so she collaborated with me to push you into the water and prevent you from entering the palace." The female lead's eyes widened in shock as she realized everything. It was all your scheme. Zhao Sulan smirked and said defiantly, "So what if it was me? I wanted to see the first daughter, who was pampered by everyone, fall into hell, including your relatives." Throwing a letter of divorce towards the female lead, Zhao Sulan said with contempt, "The heir apparent told me to tell you this. The heir apparent's wife had an affair with another man and was unfaithful to the heir apparent. From this day on, she is cast out. The two of you are no longer related." The female lead's whole body stiffened, her eyes staring blankly at the divorce letter before her. Seeing that the female lead was down on her luck and had no more value, Zhao Sulan took advantage of her position and ordered, "Throw her out." The guard received the order, approached, and pulled the female lead's arm. At this moment, the female lead seemed to have seen through everything. She gave a cold, faint smile. She was truly naive to the point of foolishness, only seeing Zhao Sulan's true face at this final moment. It turned out that all this time, Zhao Sulan had been hiding in the shadows, secretly manipulating everything. She was always jealous of my status as the first daughter, malicious towards me from beginning to end. She constantly schemed and plotted against me, only wanting to snatch the position of princess consort from my hands, while I was blinded and even caused my whole family to lose their lives because of it. Outside, the rain fell like a waterfall. The encroaching cold was not as cold as the female lead's heart at this moment. In the rain, the guard indifferently threw her out of the residence. Thunder rumbled above the female lead's head. She clutched her gravely ill body and struggled to stand up. Looking at the heir apparent's residence with hatred, heaven's law is hard to tolerate, but retribution will come. The blood I shed here today will turn into a vengeful spirit, and then I will drink your blood, gnaw your flesh, and haunt you day by day, so you will never know peace. Zhao Yuanqing smiled, a smile full of despair and hatred. With her final words, she slammed her head against a pillar and died on the spot. A wave of pain caused the female lead to gradually lose consciousness, but Zhao Sulan's sinister laughter still echoed in her ears. "Older sister, news just came from the border. Big brother is missing. I'm afraid there's little hope for his survival." "Older sister, mother committed suicide, but if she had just begged me, I wouldn't have been so heartless." "Older sister, the emperor has confiscated the general's residence, saying the general's family was plotting a rebellion. He plans to execute the entire family." Even as she closed her eyes, her heart was filled with a great obsession. She was unwilling to lose everything like this. Her heart screamed relentlessly, "Zhao Sulan, you destroyed my entire family. Revenge. I must have revenge." But heaven did not want her to die. When she opened her eyes, she was in a familiar room, and the familiar call of her maid rang in her ears. "Young miss, you're awake." The female lead's eyes widened as she looked over in disbelief. San Yin. Seeing her maid, San Yin looking at her with a dazed expression, the female lead murmured, "Isn't my San Yin already dead?" But thinking of something, she shot up, grabbing San Yin's hand and asking urgently, "What year and month is it now?" San Yin didn't understand why she was asking this, but still answered, "Young miss, it is now the 16th year of the Jiaqing era. Today is the first day of spring." The female lead covered her face with her hands in horror. 16 years old. Have I returned to the past? She had been reborn, returning to the age of 16, a time before all the conspiracies had begun. Sen Yin came over to help her up and asked with concern, "Why do you look so pale? Young lady, did you have a nightmare?" After thinking things through, Zhao Yuanqing's smile became radiant. "It's nothing. Although I don't know what happened, since heaven has given me a rebirth, I will definitely take this opportunity to protect my family well and not repeat the same mistakes. From this moment on, Zhao Yuanqing will live for one thing only, and that is revenge." Just then, Fu Luola appeared, acting friendly and suggesting, "Yuanqing, the peach blossoms in the backyard of Guan Temple are so beautiful. Why don't we go see them?" Looking at her smiling face, the female lead felt nauseous, but she did not expose what she knew from her past life. Looking at Fu Luola, she thought to herself, "My good friend Fu Luola, just because she was afraid I would compete for favor with her after entering the palace, she joined forces with Zhao Sulan to plot and push me into the water. In this life, I will absolutely not marry a dandy like Su Suqing." A plan formed in the female lead's mind. She played along, acting friendly and linking her arm with Fu Luola's. Look at the peach blossoms. All right, I love looking at peach blossoms the most. In her heart, she sneered coldly. If you want to plot against me, then I'll play along. This life, I must personally cut the rope that binds my destiny and turn this chessboard around to make those who harmed me in my past life pay the price. On the way, Zhao Sulan was already waiting. As soon as she saw the female lead, she pretended to have met her by chance and asked, "Second sister, young lady Fu, where are you two going?" Fu Lula, following the prearranged plan with Zhao Sulan, opened her mouth and replied, "To the back mountain to see the peach blossoms." Zhao Sulan acted excited and suggested, "Can I go with you, sister?" The female lead's sudden bright smile and immediate agreement made Zhao Sulan wary. "Of course, my good little sister." The female lead looked at the enemy from her past life before her and hated that she couldn't strangle her on the spot, but she maintained a calm exterior. Looking closely, "Your eyes are really beautiful." Zhao Yuanqing switched on her acting mode. With an innocent face, she dropped a bombshell. "Can I gouge them out?" Zhao Sulan felt that something was wrong. Her face turned pale. This isn't right. Why would she say that? The female lead didn't stop. She stepped forward, touched Zhao Sulan's paling face, and continued, "And this skin, it doesn't look too bad either, does it?" Zhao Sulan didn't understand why, but facing the female lead, a chill ran down her spine. She stammered, "SEC's second sister." The female lead withdrew her hand, smiling like a flower. "Just a couple of jokes." "What? You can't take it already, little sister?" Before the dazed eyes of Fu Lula and Zhao Sulan, the female lead turned with an imposing air and walked ahead. "Weren't we going to the back mountain? Let's go." In her heart, she silently vowed, "Zhao Sulan, just you wait. In this life, I will play with you slowly. Don't worry, I will make your life a living hell." When only the two of them were left, Fu Luola looked at Zhao Sulan and said nervously, "Zhao Yuanqing seems a bit off today." Zhao Sulan looked at the female lead's retreating back and reassured her, "Don't be afraid. No matter what, today's plan must not have any mistakes." Although Fu Luola had a bad feeling, for the sake of her future benefits, she had to agree, I know." Very quickly, the group arrived at the peach blossom forest. Fu Luola, according to the plan, led the female lead near the lake shore. She said with regret, "Sister, look how beautiful it is here. But after we enter the palace, we won't be this free anymore. If I had known, I would have asked my mother to arrange a marriage for me. I don't want to enter that iron cage of the imperial palace." Fu Luola stood behind, smiling sinisterly, reaching out her hand to push the female lead into the lake. But just as she thought the plan had succeeded perfectly, Zhao Yuanqing suddenly turned around and grabbed her arm tightly. "You don't want to enter the palace. You want to marry another man?" Fu Luola suddenly became tense. That's right." Hearing this, the female lead smiled meaningfully and decisively pushed Fu Luola into the lake. "Then let me grant your wish." By the time Fu Luola came to her senses, she found herself in the water. She raised her hands in fear and shouted, "Help! Help me!" The female lead stood on the shore, her face as cold as ice, showing no emotion. She told herself, although the danger of falling into the water and being forced to marry Su Suqing has been removed, I still can't be careless. Seeing her accomplice in danger, Zhao Sulan ran towards the lake in horror. "Let me save you." Just as she was about to grab Fu Luola's arm, the female lead blocked her, a step faster. "You dare." Suddenly, a splash was heard. Both of them looked over and saw that Su Suqing had jumped into the water. The female lead felt that the plot had changed according to her wishes, so she disgustedly pushed Zhao Sulan aside and smiled meaningfully. "This is just the beginning." Watching Su Suqing swimming with all his might towards Fu Luola, the female lead's eyebrows knitted together tightly. "It's just as I remember. Su Suqing has come to save the person." Zhao Sulan's face was now as black as the bottom of a pot. "It's over. The plan has failed." In the lotus pond, after Su Suqing saw the girl in front of him clearly, he suddenly stopped. "Wait, she's not." "She's not," Zhao Yuanqing. Feeling Su Suqing's indifference, Fu Luola, out of fear, disregarded her image. She wrapped her arms tightly around his neck, wailing, "Save me, don't leave me." Just then, a somewhat authoritative voice called out, "What's going on?" The female lead looked at the person approaching and thought, "That's right. How could I forget?" There's also a group of witnesses that Zhao Sulan has already arranged. The female lead had another plan. She smiled with a calculation in her heart. "If that's the case, then I'll help you all act out this play to the end." As for Zhao Sulan, As soon as she saw the Madam of the Duke of Jingwa's residence appear, she had another idea. She walked up to the female lead and questioned her. Sister, do you really not understand what's going on? How could you push Luala into the lake? In her heart, she schemed sinisterly. There's still a chance. I must give Zhao Yuanqing another stain on her reputation. This way, I can prevent her from entering the palace. Her thoughts could not escape the female lead's eyes. You demon, you like to act so much? Then let me act with you. Thinking this, the female lead got into character and slapped Zhao Sulan. Zhao Sulan's eyes widened in disbelief as she asked, You dare to hit me? Over here, the female lead was no pushover either. She shifted the blame onto Zhao Sulan, her way straight as she strictly lectured. Third sister, you are too much. No matter how dissatisfied you are with Luala, you can't be so cruel. Do you know how cold the water is in spring? If anything happens to Luala, I won't forgive you. Hearing these words, Zhao Sulan was so angry she was speechless. Seeing the Madam of the Duke of Jingwa approaching, she realized the female lead's intention. Is Zhao Yuanqing trying to turn the tables and frame me? She urgently wanted to explain. I didn't. Before she could finish her sentence, the female lead stepped forward and delivered another slap, cutting off her attempt to explain. Third little sister, do you think I don't know what's going on? Zhao Sulan held her aching face, her heart panicking. Could it be that Zhao Yuanqing already knows that Fu Luala and I were plotting against her? How is that possible? At this time, Fu Luala, completely soaked, was helped ashore by Su Suqing. How did this suddenly happen? The Madam of the Duke of Jingwa's eyes turned towards Zhao Sulan as if to ask, Did you do this? Zhao Sulan suddenly panicked. It wasn't me, it was second sister. Madam, please believe me. The Madam of the Duke of Jingwa disgustedly flung off Zhao Sulan's hand that was clinging to her. Still trying to argue. Knowing the situation was irreversible, Zhao Sulan's face changed as she thought, It's over. Zhao Yuanqing beat me to it. Now that the Madam of the Duke of Jingwa is on her side, whatever I say will become a lie. Take Lala back first for now. Be careful she doesn't catch a cold. The Madam of the Duke of Jingwa then looked over at Su Suqing. Heir apparent Su, you should change your clothes as well. Yes. After the Madam of the Duke of Jingwa left, Zhao Sulan looked at the female lead with eyes full of hatred. Second sister is truly skilled. The female lead was not afraid and smiled in response. Haha, still not as good as my little sister's schemes. With all her plans ruined, Zhao Sulan, filled with anger, snorted coldly and left. The events unfolding exactly like her previous life made the female lead sigh. Everything is so real. I don't know why I've truly returned to that time. Suddenly, she gave a smile that couldn't be colder. Reborn again? Then don't blame me for being ruthless. She walked to a nearby rock to check the traces of Zhao Sulan's trickery. It's moss. As expected, they tampered with it beforehand. Guan Temple has many visitors. If someone were to step on this, and I clearly knew about it beforehand, but didn't deal with it, my crime would be even greater. Thinking this, she took out her handkerchief, carefully knelt down, and dealt with the patch of moss on the rock. The female lead worked very diligently. After a while, she finished cleaning the moss from the 4 rocks by the edge of the lake. But she hadn't gone far before she ran into the director of the Eastern Depot, Zhuangli. Zhuangli also noticed her looking at him, and he glanced back. This is the legendary director of the Eastern Depot, Zhuangli, whose moods are unpredictable and whose power shakes the world. Not wanting to offend this person, she went to greet him. Greetings, Lord Zhuang. He can monitor everything in the palace, which proves his power is immense. Moreover, he is on par with Emperor Mingen. This person's mind is deep. I absolutely cannot make an enemy of him. But I have no interest in him myself, so there probably won't be any entanglement with him, right? Just as she was muttering to herself, Zhuangli unexpectedly struck up a conversation. Second young lady Zhao, right? You're quite interesting. The female lead gave a forced smile and made an excuse to slip away. The scenery of the peach blossom forest at Guan Temple is unique. This humble girl will not disturb Lord Zhuang's pleasant mood any longer. Zhuangli had no intention of making things difficult for her. He nodded leisurely. Go. The guard, Chen Mo, saw Zhuang Li's eyes following the female lead and teased. Interested in second Miss Zhao? Zhuang Li's eyes were deep as he smiled faintly. A little. Chen Mo's voice was somewhat puzzled as he asked. Zhao Yuanqing pushed someone into the water and then framed the daughter of concubine. Her character is so terrible. This subordinate doesn't understand why master has taken an interest in her. Zhuang Li didn't explain in detail, but only said cryptically, an eye for an eye. Do you understand? Chen Mo's face went blank, and he shook his head in lieu of an answer. This expression of his made Zhuang Li a bit weary. Your head is only full of good things. Thinking of something, Zhuang Li asked. The one Ma Chiza wants to select for the palace is her? Yes. Chen Mo silently marveled. Only master dares to directly call the current emperor by his name. Fearing that walls have ears, the young man approached and whispered into Zhuang Li's ear, Master, if Zhao Yuanqing enters the palace as a consort, I'm afraid the Zhao family will be won over by the emperor. At that time, it will suppress our faction's power. Need to stir things up a bit. Zhuang Li dismissed it without a care. No need. Let's go back. At this time, at the Zhao residence. After the doctor examined Fu Luola, he said, Old Madam Zhao, rest assured, young lady Fu is fine, just suffering from a slight cold. After seeing the doctor off, Old Madam Zhao patted the female lead's hand and advised, You must pay a little more attention to Luola's side. After all, we were in the wrong first this time. Old Madam Zhao did not hide her disgust in the slightest. She gave a stern order. Take the third young lady back to her residence. The filial third young lady has requested to go to the ancestral hall to pray for the ancestors for a month. Zhao Sulan replied with resignation. Yes. The female lead indifferently closed the door, dismissing the guest, which made Zhao Sulan so angry she gritted her teeth. The maid, Ji Hong, spoke up to encourage her. Young lady, once young lady Fu wakes up, everything will be clear. The scheming green tea sister sneered coldly. Even if my name is cleared, grandmother would never let this matter ruin Zhao Yuanqing's reputation. We've lost this round no matter what. Since Emperor Mingyan ascended the throne, he has always been constrained by Zhuang Li. The selection of concubines is his chance to win over powerful forces, and choosing the first daughter of the Zhao family to enter the palace is the best choice. Then, young lady, what should we do? Zhao Sulan clenched her fists and said angrily, If Zhao Yuanqing is not ruined, we won't be able to enter the palace. I miscalculated this time, but it's not over until the end. I will repay today's humiliation 100-fold. After a few hours, Fu Luola regained consciousness and opened her eyes. While she was still dazed, she heard the female lead's voice ask, You're awake? Fu Luola sat up, clutching her head, and pointed an accusing finger. Zhao Yuanqing, why did you push me? The female lead walked towards the bed at a leisurely pace, took Fu Luola's hand, and said with a smile that was like a slap in the face, That's right. Not only did I push you into the water, but I also arranged a marriage for you. Didn't you say you didn't want to enter the palace? Congratulations on getting your wish. Fu Luola asked in a daze, What marriage? The wife of the heir apparent of Marquis Qing Yuan's residence. This status shouldn't be too much of a grievance for you, right? Zhao Yuanqing, how can you be so cruel? Faced with these accusations, the female lead, instead of getting angry, smiled even more cheerfully and replied, For the sake of my good sister getting her wish, I don't mind bearing an even more wicked reputation. Her words left Fu Luola speechless, unable to retort. You. The female lead patted Fu Luola's shoulder, cutting her off first. Everyone saw you too in physical contact. This matter is already settled. The female lead's eyes suddenly became dangerous as she looked at Fu Luola and warned, Luola, you remember this clearly. The one who pushed you in the water was not me, but Zhao Sulan. Sensing the servant who had just entered, the female lead put on a gentle expression and advised, Luola, try to think more openly. Although the Marquis Qing Yuan's residence is not what it used to be, it is still a Marquis's residence. Heir apparent Su is a talented man, and it's a good place to settle down. Fu Luola's face turned from green to white, and she replied unwillingly, I'm really grateful to you, Yuanqing. In her heart, she was silently considering what the female lead had just said. The Zhao family is powerful. Clashing with the Zhao family at this time would not be a wise choice. It would be better to maintain this relationship with Zhao Yuanqing. Perhaps there would be a chance for scheming later. Seeing that the fish had taken the bait, the female lead smiled, turned, and left. We are all sisters. Luola, you don't need to be so polite with me. Rest well. You have to return to your residence tomorrow, so I'll go back and pack my things first. The next day, standing before the Zhao family's sign, the female lead's heart was filled with a mix of nostalgia. I'm finally home. I said I was going to Guan Temple to seek peace and quiet, but I ended up causing so much trouble. Hearing a voice that was all too familiar from her past life, the female lead's face was streaked with tears as she sobbed and called out, "Mother." Madame Zhao was stunned to see her daughter with tears streaming down her face. Then she rushed over worriedly, using a handkerchief to help wipe her tears, and asked repeatedly, "What's wrong with you? Who bullied you? Tell me, and I'll vent your anger for you." Hearing this, the female lead cried even harder. She immediately threw herself into her mother's arms and hugged her tightly. "What's wrong with you? Don't cry, don't cry. I'm here." The female lead hugged her even tighter. "It's Mother, you're alive. I can finally hug you again." Madame Zhao cast a questioning look at the two maids behind her. Did something else happen at Guan Temple? Why is the young lady crying so aggrievedly? San Yin immediately reported. It was Zhao Sulan and Fu Luola who plotted to harm the young Mississippi. After hearing the story, Madame Zhao angrily slammed her hand on the table and shouted, "How can this be?" The female lead had now regained her composure. She took her mother's hand and said with a smile, "Mother, isn't this for the better? Your daughter just felt wronged seeing you." After crying, "There's really nothing left in my heart. Besides, your daughter didn't suffer any punishment. Isn't that great?" Madame Zhao was still furious, frowning and refusing to let it go. "Even so, I can't let them off. We can deal with Zhao Sulan later, since she's right here. But as for the Fu family, do you need me to sabotage the marriage between Fu Luola and the Marquis Qing Yuan's residence? A marriage that neither side wants, forced together, would not be a happy union." Thinking of Su Suqing from her past life, the female lead smiled at Fu Luola's future fate. "Su Suqing is not a good husband. I'm afraid Fu Luola will surely suffer in the future." Hearing her daughter's irrefutable analysis, Madame Zhao smiled and added, "Then let me add more fuel to the fire. Enough to make this marriage ignite." Hearing her mother say this, the female lead covered her mouth and giggled. The two were in perfect sync. In this way, the matter of falling into the water has been completely changed. But this means I have to enter the palace as a consort. Although everything in the past life was orchestrated by Zhao Sulan from behind the scenes, the one who directly ordered the extermination of my family was Emperor Mingen. At this thought, her eyes suddenly became sharper than ever. A fatuous ruler who doesn't know right from wrong. I have no desire to enter the palace and marry him. But right now, there's only one person who can stand on equal footing with Emperor Mingen. That is Zhuangli, the director's residence. The female lead, holding a box of food, got out of the carriage. She stood looking at the director's residence with a heart full of conflicting thoughts. I originally thought I wouldn't get involved with him, but right now, only he can stand up to Emperor Mingen. She smiled brightly, walked over, and handed the food box to the guard at the gate, saying, "These are all pastries I made myself. I hope this lord will deliver them to Lord Zhuang for me." The guard's eyes stared at Zhao Yuanqing's hand, thinking to himself, the jade-like hands of the Zhao family's young lady are actually making pastries for the director? Averting his gaze, he said, "Young Lady Zhao, please wait a moment. This humble one will help you report this." While waiting for the other person to leave, the female lead started to probe the remaining guard. "I wonder what Lord Zhuang usually likes to eat." The guard was immediately put in a difficult position. "Young Lady Zhao, please don't make things difficult for us humble servants. How would a humble servant know about Lord Zhuang's affairs? And even if I knew, I wouldn't dare to say." The female lead used all her available assets and started acting. She demurely covered her mouth and said, "It was me who was too eager and didn't think things through. A few days ago at Guan Temple, I had the fortune to meet Lord Zhuang." She put on the innocent look of a young girl in her 20s, her face blushing as she continued, "I'm not afraid of being laughed at, but I've always liked beautiful things since I was young. After meeting Lord Zhuang, my heart can't forget him." The guard, hearing her pour out her heart, was so incredulous his eyes were about to pop out. "Oh my God, young Lady Zhao has taken a liking to our Lord Zhuang." The female lead shyly nodded in response. Without another word, this guard quickly ran to report everything to Zhuangli. After hearing it, Zhuangli frowned and asked for confirmation. Zhao Yuanqing said she's taken a liking to the director. "Yes, my lord." He unknowingly let out a deep, unfathomable smile. "Ha ha, interesting. All right, invite her in." This director wants to see just how much she likes me. Under the guard's guidance, the female lead walked openly into the residence. Young lady Zhao, please. Looking at the man before her, she silently calculated. Although it's a risky move, the concubine selection is urgent. The only person who can restrain Emperor Mingyan is probably this moody Lord Zhuang. Besides, if I enter the palace, I will have to be in the opposing faction to Zhuangli. I'll offend him sooner or later, so I might as well take a gamble now. After all, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I still have a chance to win. Having thought it through, she approached him and curtsied. Greetings, Lord Zhuang. Zhuangli didn't beat around the bush and went straight to the point. I hear that young lady Zhao fell in love with this director at first sight. The female lead feigned shyness and replied, yes, this humble girl was captivated by Lord Zhuang upon first sight and is willing to remain chaste for Lord Zhuang until death. He stood up, looked straight in her eyes, and replied with a half smile, giving up the position of an imperial consort to remain chaste for this director. Young lady Zhao is truly devoted. Under his sharp gaze, the female lead maintained a calm expression and said, my family only hopes for this humble girl to find someone she is fated with. This humble girl is the same. Glory and wealth are all fleeting. They are not what this humble girl desires. Zhuangli sat back down in his chair and continued the conversation. So what does that have to do with this director? Realizing that things were not going as she had planned, the female lead gave a forced smile. Of course, it has nothing to do with Lord Zhuang. This humble girl has overstepped today and will not make the same mistake again. This humble girl's feelings for Lord Zhuang will always be kept in her heart. She felt a little disappointed in her heart. It seems Zhuang Li's desire to side with me is not very strong. He closed his eyes slightly and gave a faint order. See the guest out. The female lead didn't say another word, just gave a perfunctory curtsy and left. Chen Mo, who had appeared from nowhere, spoke up beside him. Master, since when did second Miss Zhao take a liking to you? Actually, second Miss Zhao doesn't look bad. It wouldn't be a problem if Master took her in. He turned his cold face to lecture Chen Mo. Would a noble young lady of a prestigious family fall for a eunuch? If that fool Chiza can't understand her meaning, it would be even more amusing. Sipping his tea, he smiled in praise. With his suspicious nature, even if he doesn't understand, he probably wouldn't dare to keep someone connected to the director by his side. This move by Zhao Yuanqing is truly brilliant. Upon returning to the Zhao residence, San Yin helped the female lead out of the carriage and took the opportunity to ask the question on her mind. Young lady, why did you go and confess your feelings to a eunuch? As she took off her cloak, she replied, I just wanted to let that person in the palace know that I don't want to enter the palace. If he insists, the Zhao family will have no choice but to turn its back on him and join Zhuang Li's camp. I'm sure Emperor Mingyan isn't stupid enough not to see that. After all, who would fall for a eunuch and even remain chaste as jade for a eunuch? Although this matter won't cause any real harm to Emperor Mingyan, the level of humiliation is extremely high. The chosen imperial consort turned around and expressed her feelings for a eunuch, and he, being isolated and without support, doesn't want to confront the Zhao family. I'm afraid he'll be fuming with anger. Thinking of that scene, she smiled with satisfaction. As she was about to return to her room, a servant came to deliver a message. Second young lady, the master asks you to meet him in the study. San Yin's face was full of worry. Young lady, I'm afraid the master has heard about today's events and is probably very angry. Handing her cloak to San Yin, she smiled reassuringly. Don't worry, it's fine. As soon as the female lead arrived at the study, she saw that besides her father, concubine one was also there. She gave a cold smile and guessed. Is concubine one trying to stir up trouble again? As expected, the moment she appeared, that concubine one put on her green tea act and said loudly, Second young lady, you must have been blinded to commit such a foolish act. As the proper first daughter of the family, must you get involved with a eunuch? It's one thing for that girl's salon to be ignorant, but surely the second young lady doesn't have to follow her to the ancestral hall, right? She turned to the head of the Zhao family, pretending to speak up for the female lead, but actually trying to add fuel to the fire. Master, don't be angry. The second young lady was just momentarily foolish. She's young and doesn't understand things. It's possible she just didn't think it through. The female lead smiled and interrupted, foiling her plan. Third little sister's character is not good, and she was punished by grandmother. Does concubine one have some dissatisfaction with that? The head of the Zhao family suddenly spoke up. Do you still think you're so capable? The female lead immediately bowed her head and obediently admitted her mistake. Father, Yuan Qing knows she was wrong. Seeing his daughter's demeanor, the head of the Zhao family was so angry he was speechless. You really are? Concubine Wen took this opportunity to step forward and help the head of the Zhao family rub his back, raising her voice to scold. Second young lady, look, you've made the master angry. You absolutely must not be stubborn. Quickly admit your mistake to your father. The female lead exuded an air of indifference and dropped a bombshell. What does it have to do with you? Her imposing manner surprised everyone. The head of the Zhao family asked worriedly, Yuan Qing, have you suffered some kind of shock? Concubine One, filled with indignation, looked at the head of the Zhao family. Yuan Qing spoke to me like that, yet this old man still cares about his own daughter? She retracted her previous cold expression and returned to her usual innocent and sensible demeanor. Your daughter was upset about the concubine selection and spoke too bluntly for a moment. I hope concubine one won't mind. She thought to herself, who doesn't know how to act? You want to act? Fine, I'll act with you. Until the very end, there might still be a chance. Concubine one was choked with anger after hearing the head of the Zhao family speak. You damn brat, I won't let you get away with this. She pretended to hesitate and said, what Yuan Qing did was a bit foolish, but if this news gets out, her reputation will surely be damaged. Is it possible that the one in the palace will give up on the idea of Yuan Qing entering the palace? After saying this, she was extremely pleased with herself, thinking, this will definitely get the entire Zhao family punished. The master will absolutely not sit by and watch. Zhao Yuan Qing, just you wait to be punished. However, things did not go as she wished. The head of the Zhao family stroked his chin and chuckled. Indeed, that's true. It seems this could be a blessing in disguise. If we can avoid this concubine selection, then it would be a good thing. Concubine, when looked over with disbelief, what? The master thinks it's fine not to enter the palace? Not only is he not punishing her, but he's comforting her. She still hadn't given up on her plan to scheme against the female lead, sidling up to him and continuing, Master, the news about the second young lady has already spread. Everyone knows about it now. I'm afraid the world will gossip. The head of the Zhao family couldn't bear it anymore and shouted angrily, Is it your turn to interrupt? Seeing this strong reaction, Concubine would shut her mouth and froze completely. He walked over, took the female lead's hand, and comforted her. It doesn't matter what other people say. In any case, they wouldn't dare to cause trouble in front of us. If anyone dares to bully you, our Zhao family is not one to be easily bullied. The female lead smiled gratefully and contentedly. Father, I understand. As long as you're happy. You must be tired for going out today. Go back and rest early. Yes, father. Before leaving, the female lead looked back at Concubine, one with a victorious and provocative gaze. Concubine Wen's face became sullen. She expressed her feelings for a eunuch in front of everyone, and such a strange thing is let go so easily. Are the rules of the Zhao family only aimed at my daughter and me? This is truly outrageous. Zhao Yuanqing, I won't let you off so easily. At the same time, in the imperial palace, after Emperor Mingyan heard the news, he angrily slammed a memorial down on the table. That Zhao Yuanqing actually expressed her feelings for a damn eunuch in front of everyone. Throwing the memorials on the table to the ground, his whole body was filled with rage. She truly has no regard for me, the emperor. It seems we must teach this first daughter of the Zhao family a lesson. The next day, the female lead was summoned to the palace. Standing before the palace gates, she thought to herself, as expected, Emperor Mingyan couldn't sit still after hearing the rumors. Everything is going according to her calculations, so the female lead remained quite calm. He summoned me to the palace so quickly. On the way, she was suddenly blocked by an outstretched arm. Stop. However, she continued walking. In front of her was the 10th princess. She stood with her hands on her hips, shouting unhappily, This princess told you to stop, didn't you hear? The female lead looked at the person before her and fell into a memory from her past life. The 10th princess in the previous life was the legitimate daughter of the empress, doted on by the late emperor. This had nurtured her arrogant and domineering personality. After Emperor Mingyan ascended the throne, in order to maintain his good reputation, he always indulged her on the surface, or one could say, he propped her up until she died. Under Emperor Mingyan's support, the 10th princess committed a major offense and died less than a year later. The appearance of the 10th princess further proved that the female lead's thoughts were correct, and right now, the 10th princess was clearly being used by Emperor Mingyan as the first step to probe her. After thinking it over, the female lead bowed and curtsied. This subject greets the 10th princess. May the 10th princess be well. The 10th princess glanced at her and asked, "You are Yuan Xing of the Zhao family?" "Yes, that is this subject." She crossed her arms and said arrogantly, "This princess doesn't like the look of you. Do you want to slap yourself? Or do you want this princess to reward you with one? I wonder what offense this subject has committed." The 10th princess declared unreasonably, "This princess not liking the look of you is your offense." The female lead remained very calm and smiled as she refused. "If that's the case, please forgive this subject for not being able to accept the punishment. You dare to defy this princess's order. This subject cannot harm the princess." Her words made the 10th princess suspicious. Harm this princess? How ridiculous. With that, she pointed and ordered, "You all, hold her down for me. If you won't be sensible, then let this princess reward you. Quick, seize her for this princess." Under the 10th princess's command, 2 guards rushed forward, reaching out to restrain the female lead. At this moment, the female lead gave a cold smile, as if she had seen through everything. "It seems Emperor Mingyan not only wants to probe me, but also wants to use the 10th princess's hand to teach me a lesson. Then he can push the blame onto the 10th princess, making her bear the reputation of being arrogant. One stone, 2 birds. I'm the daughter of a general's family, and have practiced martial arts since I was young. How could I fall for such a shallow scheme?" Therefore, she stood calmly in place, with no intention of dodging. Just as the 2 guards' arms got close, the female lead made her move. With a burst of energy, she slapped the first guard across the face. She dodged backwards and struck the back of the other guard's neck with her palm. In less than a minute, she had cleanly dealt with the 3 guards. The guards collapsed on the ground, clutching the spots where she had hit them and crying out, "Ouch, it hurts so much." Witnessing this scene, the 10th princess was completely intimidated. What? How did this happen? The female lead's face was as cold as ice as she clasped her hands and said, "This subject took the liberty of acting on the princess's behalf to teach these unruly servants a lesson. This subject is only doing it for the princess's own good, right?" The 10th princess, shamed into anger, with tears welling in her eyes, screamed, "You hit this princess's people and still say it's for this princess's own good? You talk so well. Let's see if I don't tear your mouth apart myself." With that, she lunged at the female lead, looking for a fight. The female lead couldn't be bothered to speak. Just as she got close, she gracefully sidestepped, causing the 10th princess to lose her balance and fall face first into a nearby flower bush. A piercing scream rang out continuously. Being helped up by a guard in a very disheveled state. She was so angry she could only cry, "Hoo." Hatred surged in her eyes, and she screamed, "Zhao Yuan Xing, I must destroy you. You just wait. I will tell my imperial brother to teach you a lesson." Such a haughty declaration, combined with her current appearance, actually looked quite cute. Unable to hold it in, the female lead covered her mouth but still let out a chuckle. This made the 10th princess even angrier. "You're still laughing?" The female lead immediately returned to a serious expression. This subject wouldn't dare. Emperor Mingyan couldn't possibly let a clueless child like the 10th princess take the lead. If the 10th princess suffered a loss at my hands, there would surely be a backup plan. She had just finished this thought when she heard a voice say, "Second young lady Zhao, you should remember that this is the imperial palace." As soon as her confidant appeared, the 10th princess burst into tears and rushed to her. "Nanny, she bullied me." That mama looked at the female lead and sternly reprimanded her. The princess has a noble status. Second young lady Zhao, as a subject, you disregard the etiquette between ruler and subject. Could it be that in second young lady Zhao's eyes, you only know the Zhao family and do not recognize the imperial family? The female lead gave a faint smile. "S.O., this is Emperor Mingyan's backup plan." Mama, there's no need to pin such a heavy crime on me. It is precisely because I understand the etiquette between ruler and subject that I cannot let the princess be corrupted by servants with evil intentions. The female lead profoundly turned the tables. On the contrary, Mama, as someone by the princess's side, you don't know how to advise the princess. This is what is called failing to live up to the imperial grace. The mama's face turned black, and having been hit where it hurts, she retorted angrily, such a sharp tongue. It's not for a mere subject like you to point fingers at the princess. If her noble body is injured, may I ask how second young lady Zhao will explain herself? Zhao Yuanqing shrugged and replied nonchalantly, "Hello, didn't the princess fall by herself? Is it a crime if an outsider doesn't help the princess when she falls? If so, Mama should also question the servants attending to the princess. What does this have to do with me?" The 10th princess was panting with anger, pointing and retorting. "You clearly dodged on purpose. If you hadn't dodged, how could I have fallen?" The female lead's face turned serious as she uttered sharp words. Why would the princess fall if this subject didn't dodge? Could it be that the princess intended to bump into this subject? The princess is a noble lady of heavenly status. As a subject of low status, if the emperor and empress dowager were to punish this subject for this subject would have nothing to say. The mama was immediately rendered speechless, gritting her teeth as she assessed the female lead. This Zhao Yuanqing is not easy to deal with. Once admitted, it means the 10th princess started the trouble first. Before Emperor Mingyan is strong enough, he certainly wouldn't dare to punish Zhao Yuanqing arbitrarily. Otherwise, not only would he become an enemy of the Zhao family, but he would also dissatisfy the court officials. She cast her sharp gaze directly at the people in front of her, facing the trouble without a trace of fear, silently vowing, "I will not give anyone the chance to bully me. If Emperor Mingyan really punishes me, I will definitely make him pay a greater price." On the other side, after a moment of thought, the mama spoke up with another accusation. The princess says second young lady Zhao bullied her, but second young lady Zhao denies it. Isn't that implying that the princess is lying? Slandering the princess is contempt for the imperial family. Can second young lady Zhao bear this crime? Thinking she had gained the upper hand this time, she sneered inwardly. The status of the imperial family is too great. Let's see how you'll argue this time. Just as she was about to respond, this subject, she was interrupted by the appearance of Zhuang Li. "Oh, this director has arrived at just the right time, hasn't he?" With an overwhelming presence, he looked coldly at the mama and shouted, "A mere servant dares to borrow the grand cloak of the imperial family to bite people recklessly?" The mama's face turned pale with fear, and she quickly knelt on the ground to pay her respects. This servant greets Lord Zhuang. Even the usually arrogant 13th princess had to bow her head timidly before Zhuang Li, not daring to look at him directly. The female lead looked at Zhuang Li calmly that I didn't expect to meet Zhuang Li here. He has always been a variable in my heart. I don't know if it's for better or for worse. She bowed politely. "Greetings, Lord Zhuang." He moved closer and teased her, making the female lead's face turn red. "Oh, isn't this the young lady of the Zhao family, the one who admires this director?" His breath on her made the female lead's already red face turn even redder. "It is indeed so. But there's no need to mention this every time you see me, right? After all, I'm a young lady, and I need my dignity too." Seeing her like this, Zhuang Li stopped teasing and turned to the mama, asking coldly, "Was it you who said second young lady Zhao slandered little Ten?" Yes. Suddenly, he looked at her again. "Second young lady Zhao is an admirer of this director. What did you say before? You said this director is handsome." Yes. Those words are very honest. In this director's opinion, there is no one in this world as honest as second young lady Zhao. You say second young lady Zhao is lying? What? Are you implying that this director is not handsome? The mama was sweating profusely with fear. She kowtowed repeatedly. This servant misspoke. Everything second young lady Zhao said is true. In her heart, she cursed, "Damn it. What does this have to do with that? This is not the same thing at all, but I don't dare to deny it. When you meet this god of death, Zhuang Li, there's no room for resistance." Zhuang Li had no intention of letting it go. He changed his line of questioning. "So you mean to say that little Ten is lying? Slandering a princess is contempt for the imperial family." The mama's face was drained of all color, and she didn't know how to resist, and oh no. The female lead, watching the fun, silently praised, wow, as expected of the feared Zhuangli. Punishing a servant so lightly already scares the other party to death. He reached out and stroked a lock of her hair, smiling meaningfully as he said, "This director has lived for over 20 years to finally have an admirer with such perfect talent and virtue. If this admirer were to lose a single strand of hair or a fingernail, this director would lose a lot of face. All right, this is boring. Go and receive your punishment yourself." Having been pardoned, the mama wisely stood up. "Thank you, Lord Zhuang. This humble one will not dare to touch second Miss Zhao again." Although the 10th princess was unwilling, she could only pout and obey. Under Zhuang Li's colder-than-ice gaze, the group quickly scurried away. With the two of them left, he turned and asked succinctly, "Have you trained before?" The female lead understood what he was asking and answered honestly, "I've learned some basics. It's a bit poor. This director will have Chun Mo teach you." Being criticized so directly, the female lead's face went blank. Huh? Zhuang Li smiled as he remembered the clueless image of his trusted guard. Chun Mo, he's the one who was with this director in the peach blossom forest before. Although his mind isn't very sharp, his martial arts are not bad. A question mark appeared around Zhao Yuanqing's head. Why is he suddenly talking about teaching me martial arts? Faced with her bewildered gaze, he moved closer and said with a mysterious smile, "In any case, this director has already said it. If you were really injured somewhere, this director would truly lose face. This director has no other virtues, except for being very protective of his own." Zhuang Li's words made her eyes widen as she stared at him, as if pondering. When he faced his enemies, he was quite at ease. But when facing him, it made one's heart jump out of their chest with fear. She wondered with suspicion, does being an admirer also fall under the category of being protected? The female lead did not rejoice because of this. Her face was extremely calm, without a hint of speculation. "Thank you, director," she said silently to herself, "but there's no need. I can protect myself." Her indifference made Zhuang Li see her in a different light, that she's so calm. It seems she's not very interested in this protection. Because of this, his interest in her grew even greater. There are not many people who interest this director. You are truly not bad. If that's the case, there's no need for an audience with the emperor today. Let's go. This director will take you back to your residence. The female lead frowned on the spot. "Take me back to my residence." The horse-drawn carriage stopped in front of the Zhao residence. The guard outside reported, "Lord Zhuang, we have arrived at the Zhao residence." Getting out of the carriage, the female lead bowed her head slightly and said, "I've troubled Lord Zhuang." Zhuang Li gave her another look. Then he lowered the curtain, grunted in acknowledgement, and waved his hand to the guard in front. "Let's go." Zhuang Li's unpredictable moods made the female lead fall in a deep thought. What is Zhuang Li's attitude right now? Meeting in the palace could be considered a coincidence. After that, it should have stopped there. Why did one take me back to my residence? Isn't it supposed to be that I just play the role of a love-struck young girl, and Zhuang Li neither accepts nor rejects, and then it has nothing to do with him, and he remains the high and mighty Lord Zhuang? Why is it like this now? After thinking for a while, she still couldn't figure out the reason for Zhuang Li's actions. The female lead sighed and held her head. Forget it. This person's temperament is unpredictable and his thoughts are deep and hard to fathom. Who knows where he itches to be scratched? The female lead had no idea that this scene had just been witnessed by Zhao Sulan, who was hiding behind the door. She gave a sinister smile, already formulating a plan in her mind. The proper first daughter of the Zhao family, meeting a man privately outside. This time you were followed to the gate of the residence. I want to see how you'll explain this to father. She couldn't help but go up and mock. Second sister is indeed the true daughter of a noble family. Just after publicly confessing her love for a eunuch, she's brought home by a man of unknown origin. These insulting words made the female lead frown in annoyance that a loose tongue brings trouble. Do you want to kneel before the ancestral hall again? Zhao Sulan continued to sneer and find fault. I just said a few words, and sister says this in front of so many people. Is this the way of a first daughter from a noble family? What does a first daughter of a noble family have to do with you? That sentence successfully silenced Zhao Sulan. You. She put on a righteous air and lectured. Although I am not the first daughter, I'm also a daughter of the Zhao family. If the second young lady is shameless and disregards her reputation, she shouldn't implicate us sisters. Expressing feelings for a eunuch and going out with a man, outsiders who don't know might think this is the family custom of the Zhao family. The female lead did not yield in the slightest. She raised her voice and found fault in return. The daughter of a concubine lecturing the daughter of the first wife. You slander others without a proper investigation. Are these the rules you've learned for over a dozen years? Zhao Salon was hit where it hurt and was so angry she couldn't do anything. Younger sister was just concerned about older sister, so my words were a bit blunt. Surely older sister won't hold every little thing against me? If so, then as the first daughter, you are too petty. As soon as the words were out, the female lead slapped the scheming little sister hard across the face. She touched her face where she had just been hit, her eyes wide with disbelief. Sister, you hit me. She smiled and warned, you said I was petty, so I'll grant your wish. Zhao Salon, in the past, I always maintained a superficial courtesy and didn't bother with you, but now you'd better not provoke me. Thinking of the past events, her mood suddenly darkened and a sharp glint flashed in her eyes. In my previous life, I bore the status of a well-bred young lady, the eldest daughter of a prestigious noble family, so my actions and behavior had to be measured wherever I went. No matter how angry I was, I had to endure it for the sake of so-called reputation and etiquette. But now I've already died once. What's wrong with calculating every single ounce in this life? Compared to things like reputation and etiquette, I need to survive more. Not wanting to argue further, she turned her back in disgust. Before leaving, she left a warning, tuck your tail in. I'm not in the mood to deal with you right now, so you'd better not hover in front of me. Otherwise, I don't mind shouldering the responsibilities of an eldest sister. Zhao Sulan's anger surged as she lost the upper hand. Staring at the main character's back, she screamed, Zhao Yuanqing, are you insane? The maid, Shihong, also reminded her, Miss, it seems the second miss is different from before. It would be better for us to avoid direct conflict with her. But Zhao Sulan was not willing to let it go. She turned back and glared. How can that be? Suddenly, Zhao Sulan came up with a new plan. She grabbed her maid Shihong's hand and ordered, Shihong, slap my face, quickly. Slap it until it's red. Hearing this, Shihong refused in fear. Huh? How would this servant dare? Zhao Sulan threw all caution to the wind. Her mind was now solely focused on one-upping the main character. Without hesitation, she took Shihong's hand and repeatedly slapped her own face with it. Seeing the slap marks on her face were now bright red and swollen, Shihong cried out in fear, Miss. Zhao Sulan endured the pain and shouted, Continue. At noon in the dining hall, concubine one placed a piece of pork rib into Master Zhao's bowl. She smiled fawningly and said, I told the kitchen to make the pork ribs that Master loves. Master, please taste their skills and see if they have improved. Noticing an empty seat at the table, Master Zhao frowned and asked, HM, where's the third miss? Why isn't she eating? Concubine, one's personal servant, pretended to be hesitant and replied, the third miss said she was a bit tired today, so she went to rest. It's just. Seeing her beat around the bush, Master Zhao lost his patience and shouted, Just what? Stop being so secretive. What on earth happened? Speak up. Yes, it's just that there's a very clear slap mark on the third miss's face. Concubine one, who was just waiting for this, immediately put on a worried expression. What? Master, let's go and see. Shihong was already waiting, and as soon as she heard the commotion, she immediately ran in to report. Miss, they have arrived. After that, the master and servant began their plan to blame the main character. The second miss was truly too much this time. Miss, you cannot swallow this anger. This matter must be told to the master. Zhao Salon raised her voice, pretending to stop her. Shihong, let it go. The second miss is the daughter of the first wife. After all, it was I who was wrong about the rules, so let's just drop this matter. Master Zhao arrived just in time to hear this entire conversation. Zhao Sulan acted surprised upon seeing him and called out, Father. She raised her hand to pretend to cover the red, swollen side of her face, but in reality, she was trying to elicit pity from Master Zhao. Father, why did you suddenly come here? Master Zhao walked over and pulled her arm down. Looking at the wound on Zhao Solan's face, he asked, "Did Yuan Qing hit you?" Zhao Solan again played the part of a manipulative innocent. "It's just that your daughter's skin is thin. Second sister only hit me a little. She didn't use much force. Besides, it was your daughter who was wrong first. It was your daughter who said a few words that angered my sister." Master Zhao frowned. "What did you say?" Zhao Sulan quickly tattled. "Your daughter saw that sister was brought home by a strange man and felt it was improper. If this were seen by others, it would damage sister's reputation. So I reminded her with a few words." After hearing this, Master Zhao suddenly became furious. "That a strange man?" Zhao Wen summoned the second miss here. Seeing their plan going smoothly, the mother-daughter pair of schemers exchanged a triumphant look. A moment later, the main character appeared. "Father, for what matter have you summoned your daughter?" Looking at the red swelling on Zhao Sulan's face, the main character just wanted to give her a thumbs up. She thought to herself, "I have to say, Zhao Sulan is not only cruel to her enemies, but also to herself." Tisk, did you hit your sister? Concubine one began to add fuel to the fire. "Master, your words are too harsh. It was just a small conflict between sisters. How could it be as serious as a beating?" The main character gave a cold smile and frankly admitted, "Yes, it was I who hit Zhao Sulan." Her arrogant tone made Master Zhao so angry that he slammed his hand on the armrest of his chair. "Is this your attitude?" She glanced towards Concubine 1 and said pointedly, "Concubine is not from a noble family. In terms of educating children, it is ultimately still inadequate." The woman's face flushed with embarrassment. Is that so? Inwardly, she cursed in frustration. "That damn brat. How dare she bring up my background?" The main character's voice carried a serious tone. "If it weren't for my slap today, I'm afraid my younger sister would have lost her life. It would have even implicated our entire Zhao family. At that point, father wouldn't have needed to summon me, because I would have come to speak with you about this matter tonight anyway." Master Zhao's anger subsided. "What did you say?" The main character looked at Zhao Sulan meaningfully. "Since it's come to this, it's better to let her decide for herself, to avoid it becoming a case of us adding fuel to the fire later." That sentence made Zhao Sulan's heart pound with a bad feeling. Why do I have such a bad feeling? How can something like secretly meeting a strange man be considered a good thing? I don't believe it. Thinking this, she skillfully guided the conversation, expressing affection for a eunuch and also going out with a strange man. "Your daughter feels that second sister's behavior is not right, but perhaps second sister has her own principles. It was your daughter who was too talkative." Master Zhao waved his hand, signaling for Zhao Sulan to be quiet. He looked at Zhao Yuanqing and asked calmly, "Is this true? How do you explain it?" She smiled cryptically and replied, "It is true. But does father know who the person who brought your daughter home was?" Master Zhao urged her on. "Stop beating around the bush. It was Zhuangli." Upon hearing this name, everyone was so shocked they shouted in unison, "What? Zhuangli?" Master Zhao quickly adjusted his posture. He coughed a few times and then said, "If it is Lord Zhuang, it is indeed not easy to refuse." Now, it was the main character's turn. Her every sharp word was aimed at the schemer. "Not only that, regarding the matter between your daughter and Lord Zhuang, even if third sister said a few disparaging words behind my back, your daughter would not hold it against her." She feigned a worried and wronged expression, saying, "But at that time, Lord Zhuang had not gone far. If your daughter had let third sister criticize freely, I'm afraid Lord Zhuang would have thought our Zhao family had some dissatisfaction with him. Father, your daughter was just teaching third younger sister a lesson." Master Zhao found this reasonable and nodded in agreement. He turned his eyes to Zhao Sulan and lectured her, "Third girl, you must be careful with your words and actions in the future." Zhao Sulan was choked up and couldn't speak. She and her mother looked at the main character with hatred. "Oh, I got slapped for nothing? Detestable. Zhao Yuanqing is truly detestable." The main character left a faint smile for the scheming mother and daughter, then walked away proudly. San Yen, having witnessed the verbal spar, smiled and asked, "Miss, did you plan to use Lord Zhuang as a shield all along?" The title of Lord Zhuang is easy to use, but the main character was cut off mid-sentence. A servant from the residence ran up to report, "Second miss, the grand tutor invites you in." See, didn't I say he would come? In her heart, she was cheering nonstop, "Grandfather, I can finally see you." Arriving at her grandfather's place, she couldn't hide her joy and called out loudly, "Grandfather, it's been a long time since I've seen you." A hint of worry appeared on old Master Zhao's face. "I just returned and already heard the rumors about you." She walked over and carefully poured him a cup of tea. Old Master Zhao looked at this granddaughter whom he doted on immensely and said in a gentle voice, "Grandfather knows you don't want to enter the palace, but using Zhuang Li as a shield once is fine. After all, a daughter of my Zhao family won't have to worry about marriage. But if you continue to be entangled with Zhuang Li, Yuan Qing, you should know the stakes." "Grandfather, I met the 10th princess today." Old Master Zhao was surprised. "The 10th princess?" The main character then recounted the whole story along with her speculation. "Yes, the 10th princess deliberately caused trouble, and then Zhuang Li came to my rescue. And the person pulling the strings behind the 10th princess is probably the one above. In the eyes of the one above, I'm afraid there is no room for our Zhao family." Old Master Zhao fell into deep thought. How can an emperor allow another to sleep soundly beside his bed? Even if we cooperate with Zhuang Li, another emperor, as long as our Zhao family still holds great power, we still cannot avoid it. She smiled suggestively. What if 3 powers coexist? Without waiting for her grandfather to ask, the main character quickly explained the calculation in her head. Why contact with Zhuang Li makes Emperor Mingyan wary of the Zhao family, and also afraid to touch the Zhao family. And as long as the men of the Zhao family show their stance, Emperor Mingyan will continue to think of ways to win over the Zhao family. If Zhuang Li wanted to make a move against the Zhao family, then Emperor Mingyan would certainly not sit idly by. Only in this way is the Zhao family safest. After hearing her plan, Old Master Zhao praised her endlessly. This could be considered a way. But the court officials do not like Zhuang Li. If we rashly make contact with him, Yuan Qing, have you considered the gains and losses? After all, it's just the private affair of a young lady. Surely it wouldn't drag other families into it. Seeing that she had thought things through so thoroughly, Old Master Zhao smiled, patted her head, and agreed. "All right, go back. Just do as you see fit in this matter." Looking at her grandfather, still alive before her eyes, Yuan Qing felt incredibly fortunate. Her grandfather's hand was still as warm as before. The next day, while arranging her hair, the main character instructed her personal maid, Luyin, find a few careful people to keep an eye on Zhao Sulan these next few days. Now that she's out of the ancestral hall, she will definitely contact Su Suqing. Once you discover she's made a move, send a message to the Fu family. Don't send it too obviously. You must let Fu Yuela investigate himself. Lu Yin, being very perceptive, smiled and replied, "This servant understands. Miss is truly clever. Let them be dogs biting dogs." At this moment, a strange man's voice suddenly called from outside the door, "Second Miss Zhao." Lu Yin looked back warily. "Why is there a strange man here?" Chen Mo appeared, clasped his hands in greeting, and said, "Second Miss Zhao, my director told me to come and teach you martial arts." Lu Yin quickly pushed Chen Mo out and reminded him, "My miss understands Lord Zhuang's kindness, but for you to come directly to the door like this is not good for my miss's reputation." Hearing this, Chen Mo suddenly remembered. He scratched his head in embarrassment and blamed himself that I forgot that Second Miss Zhao is a noble young lady with many rules. I was too careless. Then the young man smiled to smooth things over. But I climbed over the wall, so no one saw me. Lu Yin was rendered speechless. At this moment, the main character came out and politely refused. "I don't intend to learn martial arts. I accept Lord Zhuang's kind intentions." Chen Mo looked troubled. "This is not something I can decide. I do as Lord Zhuang commands. If Miss wishes to change her mind, she must go and tell the director herself." The main character frowned. "Are you doing this on purpose?" Chen Mo feigned foolishness with a smile. "How could a blockhead like me do anything on purpose?" Having no other choice, she could only sigh and say, "Then can I go to the Eastern Depot tomorrow to speak with the director in person? You can go back for today." "I think I understand now." Zhuang Li just said one casual sentence, and today, Chun Mo showed up at my door. It's simply that Zhuang Li wants me to go find him. Chun Mo grinned and replied with a simple yes, then vanished. The next day, the main character dressed as a man, appeared before the Eastern Depot. Two guards saw a stranger and raised their hands to block her. This is the Eastern Depot. Outsiders are not allowed to enter without permission. I have an appointment with Lord Zhuang. Please help me inform him that someone, surnamed Zhao, is here. Hearing the surname Zhao, the guard's expression immediately changed. Are you from the second miss of the Zhao family? Please wait a moment. I will inform him for you right away. In the study, Zhuang Li was busy with work. Seeing the person dressed as a man enter, he looked up. After 3 seconds, he withdrew his gaze and continued his work. This director was just wondering when I became acquainted with a young Master Zhao. It turns out to be a little lady. The main character was not surprised that Zhuang Li recognized her so quickly. She smiled and said, "To avoid unnecessary trouble for Lord Zhuang, I just disguised myself a little. I wonder what instructions Lord Zhuang has for this humble girl today." Zhuang Li found it more and more interesting. He rested his chin on his hand and asked. It was clearly second Miss Zhao who came on her own. So how did it become this director? Who asked you to come? Although the main character was furious, she still forced a smile. Right, it was this humble girl who came on her own. This humble girl wants to thank Lord Zhuang for his kind offer to teach me martial arts, and also to ask Lord Zhuang to withdraw the order. He sat with his legs crossed, his gaze deep and unreadable as he looked at her, and just let out a no. This peacock-like arrogance of his made the main character think resentfully. This Zhuang Li is really asking for a beating. No wonder so many people hate him. Seeing that he said nothing, the main character had no choice but to speak again. Chen Mo is Lord Zhuang's shadow guard. To have him instruct this humble girl is truly a waste of talent. This humble girl has taken note of learning martial arts. I will seek instruction from my maternal grandfather myself. Oh right, her maternal grandfather is a military general. After saying that, for some reason, he fell into contemplation. Facing him, the main character felt extremely suffocated from constantly having to guess this director's thoughts. This attitude of Zhuang Li's clearly means he wants something from me, but doesn't want to open his mouth himself. It must be a difficult situation. She secretly sighed and then spoke up to probe. Has Lord Zhuang been troubled by any official matters recently? Perhaps this humble girl can offer some comfort. Seeing a way out, Zhuang Li chuckled, stood up, and extended a hand towards her. It's nothing, just idle with nothing to do. I heard that in a few days there will be a shuttlecock kicking competition organized by the noble young masters. This director wants to go and watch, but it's a bit uninteresting to go alone. The main character understood his meaning immediately and smiled, suggesting, this humble girl is free. I wonder if I would have the honor of accompanying Lord Zhuang.